Okay. I see Anand Kazan is still streaming, but I'm gonna give my thoughts on this too. I wasn't even gonna record videos today, but I felt like, oh, I had to say something about Vosh, and then it just, you know, it all comes out. But kind of piggybacking on that last video a little bit about Vosh talking more about Huey Long. I doubt he's gonna do it much else, but I think it's kind of disappointing when I see that. But I want to talk about co-opting on a different level, and this is something that a lot of you know the Afrocentrists talk about, and the some of the auto folks and the back to Africa folks as well. And I think there's truth to it. Is the co-opting of the civil rights movement. Is that by the time, and a lot of folks will say, by the 1970s, black folks had their shit together. At least in terms of protecting themselves. Black folks had their shit together. It wasn't until, the mid 70s and the 80s when now, and this isn't like I say, this is just what they say. This isn't necessarily what I believe. I just want to make sure. But a lot of them were saying, hey, now Hispanics are getting involved. Now Asians are getting involved. They're, everybody's wanting a piece of the pie, saying, oh, they're trying to get what they can from, the government so that they can have their own protection, And I think there's some truth to that. I do. I think that, especially the LGBTQ movement, that you got in the late 70s going into the 80s. I think that's a very big issue is that, there's a lot of these folks who will say, oh, yeah, well, the LGBTQ movement is just an extension of the civil rights movement. No. A lot of folks will say, nope, it was for black people. It wasn't for, these Stonewall folks. It wasn't for any of those. No, they'll say, that was for black folks only. That wasn't for you, cracker. That wasn't for you, person that's wearing, pleather in the gay pride parade. No, it wasn't for you. That was for black folks' freedom, so they stopped getting beat up by the cops. And yet, now we see, is that a lot of that stuff got co-opted. A lot of that rhetoric got co-opted, like, oh, we're going to help everybody and whatnot. Maybe I'm kind of going off of what Professor Black Truth was saying. Is that they say the same thing? Is that black folks are going to be left in the dust? I think he's got a point. Regardless of me being the honky that I am, he's got a point. You notice that Vosh will not talk in good faith or won't talk at all about black nationalism in any realistic way. He had that arc. He doesn't want to talk about it now. He's just like, well, he'll say stuff like, well, Marcus Garvey was a Nazi or Marcus Garvey was a fascist and that's his whole commentary. He's just like, well, Garvey was a fascist. We're not going to talk about it. That's pretty much what I got from that. Why am I giving this nigga so much credit? I'm not. Fuck that nigga Vosh. Frankly, fuck that nigga. But the thing is that there's truth to it. Well, no, there's no truth to what he was saying, but there's truth to the idea that it's like, yeah, black folks, going to stand up for their own. And I think this whole idea where it's like, well, we need to build everybody up. And I think that, a lot of folks, when you get that sense, it's like, oh, yeah. A big thing, I mean, it's kind of, we see the cognitive dissonance in a bit where, Professor Black Truth is like, well, the reason that Biden was elected was because of black folks. And he's like, yeah, there's a lot of these dumb black folks out here. Oh, yeah, we're going to support you, Mr. Biden, and all this sort of thing. And now they all quiet and all this. But that's part of the thing right there is that, this idea where it's like, we're all going to hold hands and shit. And I think, unfortunately, that is one of the biggest problems with the left today, where it's like everybody's going to hold hands and everything is going to be okay, all this sort of thing. As long as we get rid of the fascists and Nazis, and if we work with transgender folks and everything else like that, then it's all good. Everything's going to be good. We're going to build solidarity and kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. And it's like, it has never worked that way. It has never worked that way. So it's like, I don't know. Like I say, this is just some schizo shit that I like to do. I think too, like I say, I think there's some good in it. I know that somebody's gonna see this video and just be like, "What are you saying, bro?" It's just like when I saw this fool got mad. It's like, you shouldn't show Vosh clips without, you know, two clips in a row like that for minutes long. That's plagiarism. I'm just like, bruh, you know, fair use, nigga, fair use. You know, net neutrality isn't gone yet. Section 230 is not in effect as far as I know. So it's like, guess what? I'm still gonna post those clips so I can get some clout. I was honest with that comment. I remember that there was someone who said, why are you posting these clips? I said I did it for clout. And I was honest. That's why I mentioned him, because I do it for clout. I'll be honest. But it's like, look, it's very easy for these movements to get co-opted. I talked about that yesterday, but basically, if you want the TLD version, a lot of folks are saying this Wall Street bet stuff, oh, well, because they have some anti-Semitic stuff, we have to be cautious of them. And of course, the folks that try to be good faith, they're like, well, yeah, fuck Wall Street and fuck what they do, but these guys are somewhat anti-Semitic. They're not capital N Nazis. Ugh. And it's like, this is what happens when you shunt a movement. It's like when people are running this and that. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in and save that kid from the woods, or save that kid from the fire in the house. And then someone stops you and is like, well, do you need to save that kid because that kid, got an F in math, or he lied to his parents or something like that, or he hit his sister or something like that. You better not save her. Oh, okay. And that's what I mean by this sort of thing, where it's like, these are the type of folks that are out there that that fuck people's heads up. They do a smear campaign on this shit. And you can feel as you want to. I don't completely believe, this Wall Street bets thing is going to do anything. It's just going to make this shit worse, other than maybe converting people to say, yeah, maybe capitalism sucks. That doesn't mean they're leftists. That just means that they're anti-capitalist. Of course, they'll say, yeah, the left is anti-capitalist, isn't it? Well, like I say, there's some issues on that, because then you can get into, well, you talk to people, you know what, I'm tired of using that nigga's name. But it's like, when you hear him say, well, maybe we should talk, maybe markets are okay. And anyway, that was a long bit of rant. I'm going to put this out anyway, regardless of how many times I said the N-word. Just, just take it with a grain of salt. Enjoy this video. Goodbye.